You think she's losing interest. She replies slower. She cancels plans. She suddenly acts distant after a deep conversation, and you tell yourself, she's avoiding me. She's not that into me. But what if you're completely wrong? What if she's not running away from you? What if she's running away from how she feels about you? Because when a woman is scared of catching real feelings, she doesn't get closer. She creates space. And if you don't understand this psychological shift, you will misread her fear as rejection and sabotage something that was actually growing. Let's talk about the one sign that changes everything. Most men confuse silence with rejection, distance with disinterest, and hesitation with a lack of attraction, but emotional dynamics are far more nuanced than that. There is a profound psychological difference between avoidance rooted in indifference and avoidance rooted in emotional fear. And if you don't understand it, you will misread the situation and respond in a way that sabotages what could have grown into something meaningful. When a woman is avoiding you because she is genuinely disinterested, there is no emotional tension underneath her behavior. It is calm. It is effortless. She does not wrestle with whether to reply. She does not overthink her tone. She does not check your social media after deciding to create space. Disinterest is emotionally light. It carries no internal conflict because there is nothing at stake for her. She feels neutral, and neutrality requires no strategy, no restraint, no internal negotiation. Her distance is consistent, clean, and emotionally flat. Emotional fear, however, feels completely different beneath the surface. When a woman is scared of catching feelings, her avoidance is not peaceful. It is conflicted. There is push and pull inside her. She may take longer to respond, but she thinks about what to say. She may create space, but she still wonders what you are doing. She might downplay her interest verbally while privately analyzing every interaction. The distance is deliberate, not dismissive. It is an attempt to regulate her emotions before they grow stronger than she is ready to handle. Emotional fear is not about lacking attraction. It is about feeling too much too quickly and not wanting to lose control. Strong, self-aware women especially value emotional stability. When they sense themselves becoming attached, they instinctively slow things down to protect their independence and guard their vulnerability. Another key distinction lies in emotional presence. A disinterested woman withdraws not only physically but mentally. She stops investing thought, curiosity, and attention. She doesn't notice subtle changes in your mood. She doesn't react to other women in your environment. She doesn't care about the outcome. But a woman who is emotionally afraid remains psychologically engaged. She may avoid long conversations, yet she still pays attention. She may act busy, yet she still remembers details. Her body language may be guarded, but her awareness of you remains heightened. This heightened awareness is not indifference. It is attachment forming beneath caution. Fear creates hyperconsciousness. Disinterest creates detachment. When a woman is emotionally invested but trying to control it, her behavior becomes carefully measured rather than careless. She doesn't move impulsively even though she feels deeply. Instead of openly expressing how much she enjoys your presence, she moderates her reactions. You'll notice she smiles, but then quickly composes herself. She laughs, then shifts the conversation to something neutral. There is a softness that appears in flashes, in her tone, in her eye contact, in the way she leans in slightly before pulling back. These micro moments reveal more truth than grand gestures ever could. Emotional investment that is being controlled doesn't disappear. It leaks subtly through body language and timing. She may not confess her feelings, but her attention gives her away. One of the clearest subtle signs is inconsistency in availability that feels intentional rather than random. She might delay responding, yet when she does reply, the message carries thoughtfulness. She chooses her words carefully. She avoids sounding too eager, but the depth of her responses shows she cares. A woman who is not invested keeps communication brief and surface level. A woman who is invested but cautious will engage meaningfully while pretending she's detached. She may initiate conversation in indirect ways, sending something relevant to your interests, commenting on something you once mentioned, asking practical questions that keep dialogue alive without exposing vulnerability. She is maintaining connection while protecting her pride. Another subtle sign appears when she reacts emotionally but tries to mask it. Mention another woman casually and watch for the micro expression. A slight pause, a change in tone, a quick shift of topic. She may act unaffected verbally, yet her body responds before her mind filters it. Emotional investment heightens sensitivity. She notices who gives you attention. She observes how you move in social spaces. Even if she never confronts you about it, her awareness increases. That awareness is attachment forming beneath restraint. She is trying to maintain composure because showing jealousy or concern would reveal how much she feels. You may also notice that she creates structured boundaries instead of emotional distance. Rather than disappearing completely, she limits the intensity. She keeps conversations lighter after they become too deep. She avoids late-night vulnerability. She might say things like, "Let's not overthink this," or "Let's just keep it simple." Not because she wants less, but because she feels more than she expected. When emotions rise quickly, control becomes her coping mechanism. She regulates pace to prevent herself from losing clarity. That regulation is not absence of feeling, it is fear of emotional overwhelm. Perhaps the most telling sign is the way she listens. When a woman is invested, she absorbs details effortlessly. She remembers small preferences, subtle stories, even passing comments. She brings them up later in ways that feel natural. Controlled investment still carries deep attention. She may act guarded, but she tracks your moods. She senses when something is off. She asks indirect questions about your plans or future intentions, disguised as casual curiosity. This is her evaluating safety while trying not to reveal attachment. Her restraint is deliberate, but her consistency in noticing you betrays the truth. Emotional control requires effort, and effort only exists where feelings already live. The energy also feels different if you are emotionally perceptive. Disinterest feels cold but stable. There is no tension in the air, no underlying current. Emotional fear feels charged. Even in silence, there is something unsaid. Conversations may carry intensity that abruptly gets softened. Eye contact may linger before being broken. There is chemistry that gets interrupted by restraint. She is not trying to erase you. She is trying to slow herself down. That difference matters because your response determines the direction of the dynamic. If you treat fear like rejection, you will react with insecurity and pressure. If you recognize fear for what it is, an internal battle between desire and self-protection, you respond with steadiness, and steadiness is what allows her to feel safe enough to stop running from her own emotions. Strong women do not fear love itself. They fear what love can do to their internal equilibrium. A woman who has built her identity on self-reliance, discipline, and emotional intelligence understands the power of attachment. She knows that once she allows someone into her emotional core, her decisions are no longer purely logical. They become influenced by hope, expectation, and vulnerability. For a woman who takes pride in her composure, the idea of losing emotional control feels like stepping into unpredictable territory. It is not weakness she fears, but dependency. It is not affection she resists, but the possibility of needing someone in a way that shifts her balance. Emotional control for her represents safety. It represents the ability to walk away if necessary, to maintain clarity, to protect her peace without hesitation. Strong women have often learned through experience that emotions can cloud judgment. Perhaps they have given too much in the past. Perhaps they ignored red flags because feelings were intense. Perhaps they invested in someone who could not match their depth. Those experiences teach restraint. They teach that vulnerability without discernment can lead to disappointment. So when she begins to feel something real, her instinct is not to fall freely, it is to assess. She slows herself down, she questions her reactions, she monitors how often she thinks about you. This self-awareness is not coldness. It is emotional discipline shaped by history. Losing control in her mind risks repeating patterns she worked hard to outgrow. Another reason strong women fear losing emotional control is that they value independence deeply. Independence is not about rejecting partnership, it is about maintaining identity. When emotions intensify, identity can subtly shift. Priorities change, time reorganizes, attention narrows. A woman who has cultivated a full life, career, friendships, goals, passions, does not want to unconsciously revolve around someone else. She wants love to enhance her life, not consume it. Emotional control ensures she remains anchored in herself. Without it, she worries she might overextend, overgive, or overlook her own boundaries in the name of connection. There is also the fear of exposure. Emotional control allows her to present strength to the world. When she falls deeply, her softer layers become visible. She becomes more expressive, more sensitive, more open to hurt. That level of exposure requires trust. Until trust feels solid, she keeps her emotions measured. Strong women understand that once they allow someone to see their vulnerability, they cannot easily retract it. It is a conscious decision to open fully, and until she feels safe, she will regulate her feelings carefully. Control also protects dignity. A strong woman does not want to chase, beg, or compete for attention. She wants reciprocity. If she feels herself caring more than she perceives you do, she will instinctively pull back to restore balance. Emotional control becomes her way of maintaining self-respect. She would rather feel privately than display intensity that is not matched. This is why she may appear calm even when her emotions are growing. She is not indifferent. She is calibrating. She is ensuring that what she feels aligns with what she receives. For her, emotional control is not suppression. It is strategy, self-protection, and preservation of the strength she worked hard to build. Hot and cold behavior is rarely random. It is usually the external expression of an internal conflict happening in real time. When someone alternates between intense connection and sudden distance, it often signals a psychological tug-of-war between desire and self-protection. On the hot days, emotion flows naturally. Attraction feels exciting, chemistry feels undeniable, and vulnerability seems worth the risk. In those moments, the person is operating from desire. They are present, expressive, attentive, and engaged because their feelings override their fears. But once the emotional intensity settles, the mind begins to evaluate what just happened. Doubt enters. Questions surface. What does this mean? Is this safe? Am I losing control? That is when the cold phase begins. The distance is not always about losing interest. It is often about regaining emotional stability. Psychologically, this pattern is rooted in attachment dynamics and emotional regulation. When someone feels themselves getting attached, especially if they value independence or have been hurt before, Their nervous system reacts to vulnerability as if it were risk. The same brain that experiences attraction also processes potential loss. So after moments of closeness, the mind seeks equilibrium. Pulling away becomes a way to reduce anxiety. It is an unconscious attempt to balance emotional intensity with rational control. The person may not even fully understand why they need space. They just feel the urge to create it. This is why hot and cold behavior can feel confusing, because it is not a calculated game most of the time. It is a coping mechanism for managing overwhelming emotion. Another layer of this psychology involves perceived power and balance. When someone feels they are becoming more invested than the other person, they may instinctively withdraw to avoid feeling exposed. Emotional exposure creates vulnerability, and vulnerability without reassurance can feel destabilizing. So after a warm, intimate interaction, the individual may suddenly shift into coolness to test the dynamic. They observe how the other person reacts. Do they chase? Do they panic? Do they remain steady? This subtle testing is not always manipulative, it is often protective. They are trying to determine whether it is safe to continue. Opening up hot and cold behavior can also stem from cognitive dissonance when feelings conflict with beliefs. A person may deeply enjoy someone's presence, but hold internal narratives about relationships that create resistance. Perhaps they believe love leads to distraction, or they fear losing independence, or they doubt the longevity of connection, so they oscillate. One moment they surrender to emotion, the next they retreat into logic. The warmth represents their authentic desire. The coldness represents their protective reasoning. The inconsistency reflects a mind trying to reconcile two opposing drives. Importantly, hot and cold behavior carries emotional charge. Indifference feels flat and consistent. Hot and cold feels intense because something meaningful is at stake. The warmth feels genuine and the distance feels intentional. The push-pull dynamic creates tension because both connection and caution are present simultaneously. Understanding this psychology changes how you interpret the shifts. Instead of assuming loss of interest, you recognize internal conflict. Instead of reacting impulsively, you see the pattern as emotional regulation in motion. The behavior may feel inconsistent on the surface, but beneath it lies a very consistent truth. Attraction complicated by fear, desire moderated by self-protection, closeness interrupted by the instinct to regain control. Masculine stability has a psychological effect that goes far beyond surface-level attraction. It does not shout for attention, it does not chase validation, and it does not fluctuate based on mood. It is grounded, steady, emotionally regulated presence. When a woman encounters this kind of stability, especially if she is used to unpredictability or emotional inconsistency, something shifts internally. Her nervous system begins to relax. And when the nervous system relaxes, attachment has space to grow. Hidden attachment often begins not with grand gestures, but with a subtle sense of safety. She may not consciously decide to feel more, but her body and mind register that being around you does not create chaos. It creates calm. Many women are highly perceptive to emotional shifts. They notice tone changes, subtle reactions, and fluctuations in energy. When a man's mood rises and falls based on her behavior, it signals instability. Instability forces her to stay guarded because she cannot predict emotional outcomes. But when masculine stability is present, her tests lose intensity. If she pulls back slightly and your demeanor remains composed, she feels less pressure. If she expresses a concern and you respond without defensiveness, she feels heard rather than challenged. This consistency creates psychological safety. Safety reduces fear. And when fear decreases, suppressed feelings begin to surface. Masculine stability also communicates abundance rather than scarcity. A stable man does not behave as though every interaction determines his worth. He has purpose, routine, direction. His life does not pause when she becomes distant. This independence is not coldness, it is self-containment. For a woman who fears losing control of her emotions, witnessing that level of groundedness makes attachment feel less risky. She senses that even if she falls deeper, she will not be consumed by drama or volatility. Stability acts as an emotional anchor. It allows her to lean without feeling like she is stepping into uncertainty. There is also a biological layer to this dynamic. Human attraction is influenced by cues of protection and reliability. Emotional steadiness signals strength, not aggressive strength, but regulated strength. When a man can handle tension without escalation, when he can remain warm without becoming needy, when he can give space without withdrawing affection entirely, he demonstrates control over himself. That self-control is deeply reassuring. It tells her that conflict will not turn chaotic, that vulnerability will not be weaponized, that closeness will not lead to emotional turbulence. Her subconscious reads stability as long-term viability,